Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon. They say the worst part of aging is the loneliness. They're wrong. It's not the silence that kills you, it's the fact that no one notices it anymore. You're not a presence. You're not even an absence. You're just omitted. My name is Toby. Once, people leaned in when I spoke. Now, I clear my throat in a room and no one even looks up. I live alone in a house that still stands out of habit. A two-story structure on the edge of a city that's grown too fast and forgotten its roots. The garden is overrun but trimmed, like a soldier who's let himself go but still shines his shoes. I drink the same tea every morning, too bitter. Watch a muted television. Wrap myself in the same brown plaid blanket that smells like a decade ago. I write things down in a leather-bound notebook with pages stained by time and indecision. Mostly names. Observations. Notes no one will read. Or so they think. My children are successful. That's what the neighbors say, at least. My daughter drives a car that costs more than this house. My son consults for people who once begged for meetings with me. I raised them to survive a storm, and they did, by forgetting the hands that built the roof over their heads. Their visits are precise, efficient. Like a chore crossed off a list. My grandchildren, polite, disconnected. One of them, Ben, scrolls on his phone while I talk. Last time I asked for help with the remote, he laughed like I was a clown at a sad birthday party. Strangers treat me as if I'm in the way of life, like I'm loitering in a world that's moved on without me. At the clinic, the nurse said, "Let's move him before he forgets why he's here." The doctor smirked. I didn't. Every day, I become more transparent. Less man, more furniture. But something's changed. It started small. A flicker in my chest. Like a pilot light, untouched for years, suddenly catching flame. I don't know if it was the way my name was forgotten on a birthday card, or when I watched a man speak to his dog with more kindness than I've heard in months. Something inside me began to uncoil. Not rage. No. Rage is too wild. This was colder. Focused. I no longer felt sad. I felt underestimated. That's worse. They all think I'm gone. My mind, my strength, my purpose, vanished. They are wrong. I'm still here. And I remember everything. They look at me now and see a shell. A man hunched with age, too slow for the sidewalk, too quiet for the dinner table. They see what's left, not what was. But I remember. I remember standing in rooms that reeked of cigar smoke and ambition, where one decision could build or break an empire. I was the one people turned to when things went dark. My voice could steer a room like a rudder in a storm. I wasn't loud. I didn't need to be. I built my business from nothing. No seed money. No inheritance. Just grit, sleepless nights, and a dangerous ability to see 4 moves ahead. I didn't outfight people, I outthought them. I read silence like a second language. The 90s were chaos. I kept food on our table when shelves were empty. I negotiated with devils and walked out clean. When my wife got sick, I sold my office to cover the treatment. Never told the kids. Told them we were downsizing. Let them keep their music lessons and braces. My son, Daniel, he went to Harvard. I took out 3 mortgages. 8 instant noodles for 6 months. He never asked how we managed it. He thought I had savings. I had pride. My daughter, Lila, wanted to start a design firm. I introduced her to a client of mine who owed me more than money. She got the contract. She never knew about the favors I called in behind her. I protected them from the dirt, the blood, the deals I buried under layers of clean paper. And now? They don't even call. People say the past is the past. But I live there more than I do here. I remember the betrayal of partners, men I raised like brothers. One by one, they stabbed, stole, and smiled. I never exposed them. I had bigger wars to fight. And when the economy turned and they came crawling, I helped. I helped because I believed in loyalty, even if it was one-sided. But there's a moment, one I keep returning to, when I realized something terrifying. None of them remember. Not the sleepless nights. Not the deals. Not the sacrifices. They moved on. Like the sky owes nothing to the roof it once covered. They forgot who held the storm at bay. But I haven't. I remember the weight of decisions, the smell of fear in boardrooms. I remember what it meant to have power, real power, not from status or title, but from being necessary. And now that no one needs me, they think I'm useless. But here's the thing about men like me. We don't lose our power. We store it. The fall doesn't happen all at once. It's in the small things. The way someone speaks at you instead of to you. The way they say, "He's a little confused," while you're standing right there. How a nurse calls you, "sweetheart," as if your name no longer matters. As if your past is just some faded wallpaper no one looks at anymore. The phone used to ring. Now it sits like a dead bird on the table, silent and cold. I stare at it sometimes, wondering if I forgot to pay the bill, but I didn't. There's just no one calling. Last Tuesday, I called Daniel. I needed help fixing a leak in the roof. Simple. 10 minutes of his time. His assistant answered. "Mr. Thorne is in meetings all day. Can I pass on a message?" I almost laughed. "Mr. Thorne. My son. The boy I carried on my back through rainstorms. Now I need an appointment to ask for a favor." I waited 3 days. No return call. Ben, my grandson, came over last weekend. I asked him to help move some boxes from the attic. He chuckled. "You're still hoarding those Cold War newspapers." I said, "They're part of history." He said, "So are you." He laughed. I didn't. In the grocery store, I dropped a bag of oranges. My back locked up. I asked a young man nearby for help. He didn't even look up from his phone. In the clinic, I tried to explain my symptoms. The doctor didn't listen. Just clicked his pen, scribbled something, and waved me off like an overdue library book. Your age, Mr. Thorne, comes with certain expectations. Like being irrelevant. I walked home that day slower than usual. Not because of the pain. But because I needed time. To think. To breathe. To decide. And when I got home, I opened the notebook. I wrote down everything. Names. Dates. Faces. Not because I was angry. Anger fades. This was different. This was calculation. I remember reading about a dam once, how it holds back billions of gallons of water, silently. No noise. No fuss. But behind that concrete wall is force, waiting. One crack, and it all comes down. They think I'm deaf. I hear everything. They think I forget. I forget nothing. I've spent a lifetime teaching others how to control the room. Now, I'm learning how to control the silence. It happened on a Tuesday. They always say life changes on some dramatic Thursday or rainy Sunday. For me, it was a Tuesday. I was coming back from the pharmacy. Bags in both hands, a bottle of blood pressure meds and stale crackers. I stepped off the curb, slow and careful like I've learned to. The edge of the sidewalk caught my toe. I fell. Not far. Not hard. But I dropped the bags. The bottle cracked. Crackers scattered like spilled bones across the pavement. And people watched. One man stepped around me. A teenager across the street laughed. And then I heard it. Leave him, he's nobody. Nobody. It echoed in my skull like a gunshot in a cathedral. I sat there on the pavement, palms scraped, knees throbbing, heart steady. Steadier than it had been in years. Because in that exact moment, I realized something terrifying. They had made a mistake. They didn't kill me. They forgot I was alive. I stood up, slowly, yes, but taller than I had in months. My spine clicked into place. My hands stopped shaking. Something cold and ancient awakened inside me. Not anger. Not revenge. Something cleaner than that. Clarity. I walked home, unopened medicine still in one bag. And as I crossed the threshold of my house, I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like a gatekeeper returning to his fortress. I unlocked the drawer under the floorboards. My fingers knew every groove. I hadn't opened it in 20 years. Inside, a second phone, a key, a bundle of old contact cards, yellowed with time. But more importantly, the black book. A ledger of names. Debts. Favors. I dusted off a file labeled V. Petrov. A ghost. But one that still owed me. Then, Kendra T., a whistleblower I once saved from ruin. Maynard Finch. I gave him seed money in '98. He built an empire. They were all still out there. Still mine. I wasn't forgotten. I had been dormant. The thing about power, real power, is that it doesn't vanish. It waits. It sharpens itself in silence. I picked up the burner phone. Battery still worked. Old number still active. I made one call. No words. Just a signal. The game was beginning again. Not with fists. Not with bullets. But with silence. With shadows. With truths revealed at just the right time to just the wrong people. They had made me invisible. Now I would make myself unseen, and unavoidable. Let them think I was weak. Let them laugh. That's the thing about monsters. They don't roar in the beginning. They wait in the dark. The first domino fell quietly. It always does. A short email. No signature. No threats. Just one line of data, a spreadsheet attachment, and an internal memo never meant to leave the company. 3 days later, Daniel, my son, the visionary CEO, was placed on administrative leave. Misuse of funds. A whistleblower complaint. PR firm spinning overtime. He called me that night. First time in 6 months. Dad, crazy week. Just needed to hear a calm voice, I guess. Calm. That's what I am now. I said nothing. Let him speak. Let the silence wrap around him like a noose. He never once asked how I was. Lila was next. My daughter, the polished brand consultant, who preaches authenticity for a living. She had a gala. Red carpet. Press. Then came the leak, an audio recording from 8 years ago. Her mocking a client, using words that don't survive social media. Overnight, sponsors pulled out. Hashtags bloomed like poison flowers. Fake empathy was trending. She posted a video. Tears. Apologies. The usual. I watched it over lukewarm tea. Ben, the grandson who laughed, had just signed with an esports team. Millions in endorsements. Then came a video. Just 15 seconds. Him, drunk, calling an elderly cashier a waste of oxygen. An old video. But timing is everything. His contract was terminated in 24 hours. Funny how people suddenly remember you exist when the ground beneath them shifts. My landline rang more in a week than it had in 2 years. I didn't answer once. They came by the house. I watched them through the curtain. They don't know what they're asking for. They want the man I used to be. The one who forgave, forgot, sacrificed. He's not home. Now they see shadows in their rooms. They flinch at phone calls. They wonder who's pulling strings, and they're right to wonder. They should wonder. Because power doesn't look like rage. It looks like silence that makes others scream. They still don't suspect me. Not really. I'm just old Toby. But they've started speaking more softly around me. They've started watching what they say. They've started remembering, too late. This is not revenge. Revenge is emotional. Clumsy. This is balance. This is every moment they ignored me, weighed and returned. This is the price of forgetting the hand that once lifted you. They all came. Not on the same day, that would have required coordination. And they haven't done that in years. But like debris after a storm, they found their way back. Daniel arrived first. His face was thinner. Suit a little too crisp, like he was trying to remember what it felt like to be confident. He brought a bottle of wine. I don't drink anymore. Dad, I just wanted to. I raised my hand. He stopped. Words were unnecessary. He sat in the armchair across from me, where his mother used to read in the afternoons. I let the silence grow between us. Let it breathe. Lila came the next morning. No makeup. No camera-ready smile. Just swollen eyes and the walk of someone who finally felt naked in a room full of mirrors. I don't know what's happening to me, she whispered. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. She folded. Ben came last. He stood awkwardly in the doorway, hoodie pulled low. No sarcasm in his eyes this time. Just a 20-year-old boy who had touched the edge of the fire and realized he wasn't flameproof. Grandpa. He started. He didn't finish. For the first time, he looked me in the eye. Really looked. That was enough. We sat in the kitchen. 3 generations. No one eating. No one speaking. Just the ticking of the old wall clock that had outlived every lie they told themselves. And then I stood. I walked to my study. Pulled out the black notebook, the one they never knew existed. Opened it. Wrote one final entry. Let them remember. Let them fear. But let them grow. I closed the book. Put it back in the drawer. Locked it. They watched me, unsure if I would speak. I didn't. Words are for the powerless. I'm not angry anymore. Anger burns out. What remains is something colder. Sharper. Not hatred. Not bitterness. Awareness. They will never forget me again. Not because I demand their attention. But because I no longer need it. Old age is not weakness. It is the final form of power. We see what others don't. We remember what others erase. We wait when others run. And when we strike, it's already too late. Some monsters wear masks. Some wear suits. And some wear cardigans, drink tea, and smile politely, while rebuilding the world beneath your feet.